Welcome to today's episode of Green and White. Today I'm back in Waikino to show you another amazing garden with a special story behind it. The owners of this property have been transforming the previously overgrown gardens into something beautiful and meaningful in the memory of their gorgeous daughter, whom they sadly lost in 2020. Let's take a look together and hear Christine and Reed's story.
Hi, I'm Christine. I had a daughter, Meridee, and she was just so full of life. And in 2016, early 2017, after 7 years away of travelling, she came home and was quickly diagnosed with terminal cancer. In fact, we weren't allowed to call it terminal cancer, it was incurable cancer. And it was a very rare one. She was given 12 months to live, and such was her love for life and her fight within her. She lived for 4 years, and we nursed her. And while it's a sad journey, it's a privileged journey to nurse somebody through their last years. And what she taught us was to love life and to live life to the fullest. She wouldn't let the cancer rule her life, she ruled it, and she managed to travel and do all sorts of things beyond the odds. In a conversation that we had with her, she said, I don't want to be forgotten, Mum. I'm scared I'll be forgotten. And she asked us if we would create a garden for people to come and sit and be with her after she was gone. We had just bought our property here at Waikino, and she loved it here. And so we agreed that we would do, and that has been the essence of this garden. But what it also gives us has been the ability to be able to grieve in a different way. Neither my husband nor I are real criers, but it's been our beautiful way of showing our love and for us to work through our grief for her. So she passed away in 2020, and in the Christmas of 2020, it was the end of November, and in Christmas 2020, we started clearing out a very dark, a very dingy, a very overgrown area of our garden. My sister's trained as a landscape architect early on. She's a horticulturalist, viticulturalist, and she designed a garden for us. And we use that as the basis of our garden. It's based around, Meridee had a love for Alice in Wonderland, so this is based around Alice in Wonderland and the theme of time. So officially called Time Garden, we call it Meridee's Garden. It's got two entrances, entrance to life, exit to life, and we do that in different ways. It's got a place, we base this nook here on a train station. The travel for, the journey that we do. And almost every plant in the garden has a meaning for Meridee or a connection to Meridee, or, as time's gone on, a connection to another loved one that we've lost along the way. So my mother-in-law features in the garden as well. And it's just a beautiful place to come and reflect, and be with our girl, and just enjoy and remember what life's all about. My trade is I'm a life coach and a hypnotherapist. And so the garden is a way to meditate, to hypnotize myself along the way. It's also got a lot of metaphors for coaching. I'm moving away from that now and moving more into gardening. Just what I love weeding, so it's just it's the therapy in it. So yeah, so that's what I do, and here in Waikino, I probably more go towards gardening or something like that than trying to keep my business going. I'm not a gardener per se. This has been the whole property. It's a garden of experimenting. Often things I put something somewhere and it gets moved. The red plant just decided that's its third place in this garden. I remember when we first set it up, a friend of ours bought one of the hostas. I'd seen them before, I didn't know what they do, and in the winter they die away. I thought I'd killed it, and I went into a panic and thought, I've got to replace it. I didn't know at the time that they were deciduous. So this garden is just a wonderful place to learn and to play. And you know what? That's almost a metaphor for life, isn't it, too? That some things work, some things don't. I've moved some things and they haven't made it through. And then I move other things, and then that's their place. And for me, that also brings life to the garden. That's what it's about. It's about experimenting and the fun of playing. It's not about worrying about what might be or what might happen. It's actually, let's try it and see what happens. When Meridee was alive, we used to literally say, what's the worst that could happen? Because we were living with the fact of what the worst was going to happen at some point. So we did some things and we'd go, well, what's the worst that could happen? And it's been a lovely, again, that beautiful lesson of just live, just explore, have a go. As long as it's not, morally wrong or anything like that, just have a go. What's the worst that could happen? And the garden is almost like that. It's morphed along the way, it's changed along the way. It's not finished yet. We put a path in, and now we're going to block the path off. So I'm planning to do a bit of a water feature in the bit of the path that's left. So again, it was a plan. Plans change, things change. You can't plan every aspect of your life. So again, the garden sort of represents that in its way of life. When we bought the cottage, it was a holiday home. It was a place to get away from the rat race. And we made this game that whatever we purchased for it had to be secondhand or on sale, or it. And that's almost been a part of the theme of this too. So the nook that I'm sitting in, yes, some of the wood is brand new, but we also got onto Meridee Marketplace to see what we could find and see what would work. The plants, a lot of the plants have been given to us, or I buy them on special, or I grow them from seeds. Some of the plants, the rose over the archway, that was already here, so we've just featured it into the garden. So was the camellia. There's a couple of camellias that belong here, so we've sort of developed around it as well. It hasn't been the cheapest of ventures, but was the price of love and life. So, we are thoughtful on what we invest. At the same time, the joy that it brings, that's worth something as well. A lot of the plants in the garden have some connection to Meridee, whether they've been gifted, like the hydrangeas and the hostas, or some of the roses are my specials. The two red ones that you see in the garden, they were given to us when Meridee passed away. They're called Loving Memory. There's a yellow one here, which is called Our Girl, and so I selected that in honour of her. Over this side, the orange one there, that's called I'll Remember, which Mum and Dad gave us when she passed away. There are other aspects of the garden that relate to her too. The leucadendron, that's called Loving Memory. And the lilies over there were gifted to us just after she passed away, and they flowered on her first year anniversary for the first time. Meridee loved Christmas, so last year I decided we're having a Christmas tree in the garden. And I found this one on special in the middle of the year. It was obviously not sold for the Christmas period the year before at the local hardware store. And at Christmas time, it had lots of decorations on. It's still got its lights on. The fuchsias that you see in the garden, Meridee loved big earrings. And I look at them and I always think those, if she could choose a flower earring, they would be those. She loved gerbras, so they're in there too. And she loved cooking, baking with herbs, you know, putting unusual things together. So there's lavender and thyme all through the garden as well. There's aspects of my mother-in-law in here too, who we lost last year. And there's 3 ornaments that belong to her, and one of the fuchsias belong to her, and that's in the garden. The other special thing about this garden is, again, the gifts. When someone's sick, when someone's dying, you suddenly realise how much kindness is in the world. And our local artist, Rod Hawkins, gave me 2 garden gnomes. And my sister made some Alice in Wonderland signs and a Jabberwocky to pop in her garden as well. The gargoyles are all mine. Meridee and I loved strange and quirky things, so the gargoyles are a part of that as well. I'm not a natural gardener. I didn't grow up gardening. When I worked in Auckland, you know, I had long fingernails which I manicured. But getting your fingers in the dirt, there's something else about that. It's therapy in itself. It's relaxing. It's the freedom of thought while your body moves. It's that beautiful exhaustion at night because you've been in the fresh air all day. You know, that's a whole new thing for me, and I absolutely love it. I realise that this, what they call it, this is my happy place. You know, there's nothing like getting up in the morning, throwing your gardening gear on, washing your face, brushing your teeth, and then that's me for the day. I'm out here. Did I know a lot about gardening when I started? No. I still don't know a lot, but I'm learning, and I'm learning about the names, and I Google, and I explore. And again, if something doesn't work, my azaleas have been in there for years, and they're just starting to show new growth. Last year, there's over 100 spring bulbs in the garden, and there's 50 in this circle here. And last year, when the bulbs died away, I put in beautiful zinnias, but I didn't realise that they would grow, and they absolutely smothered my azaleas. So when I pulled them out at the end of the summer, my poor old azaleas were looking sick. So then it's just nurturing that. So it's lots of exploration, but again, the fun of playing. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Anything, most of the things in here can be replaced in some way, shape, or form. So for me, it's just about get out and have a go. I love weeding. I love pulling out those infinite little weeds. Some are allowed to stay. Fighting the quails where they keep having bird baths where I don't want to, you know, where I don't want them to. But I forgive them because they're so delightful to have in the garden. So part of what I do now is what will attract the native life, what will attract the bees, what will attract the birds, so that again we can bring that life and learn to live together with what's going on. And I think, you know, that's one of these things is the garden. It suits my spiritual side. It's a place where I can connect, and I certainly feel more relaxed here than I do in any urban spot that I've lived in. This helps me to just ground and calm down, and that's one of the joys, many joys that gardening gives to me.